What are you listening to? Anything cool? No? Should I just start talking? What was I listening to? I was listening to the new Haley Williams record. Anybody check that out? Pretty cool. My friend Aaron Steele plays drums on it. Some pretty awesome drum sounds on there. Some cool parts too. Yeah. She was the singer from the band Paramore. Or is. I don't know if they're still a band, but anyway, solo record. It's pretty cool. Definitely worth checking out. Let's stir some conversation here. All right, so right now I'm in the process of I'm working on a new course. I won't tell you what it's about yet, but I'm working on a course but busted out the old 28-inch bass drum today. Anybody else have a bass drum, 28-inch bass drum? I'm actually going to sell this thing. I love it, but it takes up a lot of space, and I only use the 28-inch bass drum and not the toms too much. So my old Radio Kings from the 30s. It's going out the window. I may try to replace the bass drum, though, with something similar, but I definitely don't need the toms in the whole thing. What's everybody's favorite bass drum size? 28 is not my favorite, but it is fun. All right. Anybody play a 28? Is anybody out there? Does anybody feel like interacting? I'll just talk. So yeah, I'm working on this course. I'm doing that. And then I'm also going to make a little YouTube video. 18 guy. All right, Benji. I'm an 18 guy too. I love 18s. And that has something to do with what I'm doing here. The 28 is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to move all that air. But man, it sounds cool. It's a really unique sound. I like that it's shallow too. I think it's a 28 by 14. But I have a 24, and I feel like they're similar enough that I'm going to get away with it. Benji, what's your what kind of 18 you playing? What is it? I really like 18s too. I actually find 18s incredibly versatile. You play one all the time? .28's not really that versatile. Obviously, it's so big. The other problem is 28s is, you know what? I'll just stay out here and bring my pen. The other problem with 28s is that they just take up so much real estate, and getting them. Sorry about this movement. I'll stop the movement. And getting them, getting rack toms and stuff around it, they all end up going like all over the place, right? This is a little better. All right, let me grab my stool. I'll be right back. Questions? Hit me with some questions. I'm waiting. Questions? Recording? Drums? Anything? Questions? Topics? Throw a topic out. Traditional grip versus match grip? No. Still waiting. Anybody else have a 28-inch bass drum? Anybody? No? 24? 26. Going once. Going twice. Who's out there? Who is out there? What do I like about this 28? Let's see. It actually sounds great when it's really dead. It sounds incredible when it's wide open. It sounds huge. Not in a weird way, not as deep as I don't know, sometimes a 22 or something like that I have, like my DW, could be the depth, maybe. But still a massive, unique sound. I'd much rather carry a 18 around town, though. I will say that. Where's everybody tuning in from? Who's out there? Declan, you still there? Any questions? Benji? Any questions? These all bots? These all bots out there? Okay, I'm going to move on to another topic. One of my favorite things lately. There we go. Trying to think of one. Topic, anything? All right, check this out. Check out this snare. Hang on. This carbon fiber snare from DW, which I put up on Instagram recently. I know you can't see it that well, but man, I gotta say, this thing is really cool. I really love the sound of this thing. So it's made of carbon fiber. We'll bring it close. Pretty drum, right? Carbon fiber. So it's very light. All right, looks cool. There you go. Now you can see some of the grain. And apparently this is leftover scrap material from SpaceX. So apparently this is what I was told by the DW people. This stuff is actually like on the new spaceships, like whatever this carbon fiber stuff is, it's built in there. So DW's bought some scraps of it and are making shells. And I gotta say, it's a really unique sound. It's got a very kind of dead thing, and in a weird way, in a certain way, it reminds me of a bell brass. So I'm not saying it's as versatile or as dope as a Tama's 80s bell brass, but all right, so it sounds really great dry. It's got a lot of depth, which I know you're probably not really hearing through the mic on the computer, but and then wide open. So, pretty rad drum. I know I tried a 6.5 also, and they're also making the new Pi snare drum size, the DW Pi snare, which is like 3.14 inches. They're making that with the carbon fiber. So definitely a cool, unique sound. It doesn't really sound like anything else I own. So I actually still have it on loan, but I'm going to try to buy it from maybe a little artist discount. So, all right. What else we got? We got 5 consistent people here. At least tell me who's here. Who else is out there? Tell me who's here. Do I know you? Carbon fiber. Anybody try it? Maybe everybody's at work and I'm just on silent. Maybe I should dance more. More dancing? Everybody's in the process of doing other things. There we go. Hi, Marco. How do you remove buzzing that comes from the wires of the snare? So you mean when you're playing just a beat and the snares buzz? Is that what you mean? Like in a recording? Exactly. Okay. I would say that's virtually impossible. Okay. If you have a snare that's rattling against the head and the head is going to vibrate in the recording, it's just part of your sound. So my guess is that you're trying to get something super clean without that. And if it needs to be that clean, maybe one idea would be to record things separately, or at least record the snare separately. Do a hi hat with kick and hat, and don't hit the snare. Keep the snares off so they're not rattling, and then sample the snare and do it separately. So, but if you need something that clean, where it's really not rattling, all throughout, if it's so obnoxious that it's rattling, first of all, that's not something that normally bothers me. Or maybe you're recording something with a lot of wide open space. Feel free to chime in and see and tell me if I'm like on the right course here. And trying to avoid it. It's going to vibrate on the head, so you can record it separately. What do you think, Marco? Am I going on the right path? You want to give me a little more specifics? I'm happy to touch on it more if just let me know if I'm going in the right direction. What else we got? Who else is out there? 7 people. 7 people. I should get at least 7 questions from these 7 people out there. Did that help, Marco? Maybe you're writing. They should have a thing on here where you can see if somebody's writing. That would be helpful. Kind of like the phone. Chris, how are you? Good to see you. What's going on? Are you doing the M160 as a mono overhead? No. M160s are stereo right there and right there. And the mono, this is my Sound Deluxe U99, which I've had for a very long time, but I've actually had not used it much in the past few years. And then I had to, why did I change it out? There was a reason I changed it out, because I normally have been keeping my 414 up there. I changed it out, and now actually my 414 is down below, and I'm doing a figure 8 thing. I'm doing a figure 8 thing down here. Let's see if you can see that. The mic is in a figure 8 pattern, and it's getting bottom snare and the batter head of the kick, and really super compressed, which is a sound that I totally love. Not always useful for everything, but it can be a really cool kind of overdriven thing or overcompressed, squashy, crazy sound. How do you stay solid? Okay, does that help, Chris? Hi, Connor. How do you stay solid timing-wise when playing with adrenaline is doing his thing? I think that's a lot of experience. A lot of experience. LCR. I don't know what LCR is, frankly. Left, right, center. Yes. Okay, sorry. Connor, I'll get back to you in a second. Yes, left, right, center. Yes, so I blend the, depending on the track. Sometimes I'll mute the overheads and only use the mono, depending on the song. Sometimes I'll mute the mono and only use the stereo overheads, depending on the sound I want, and or I blend them. So yes, but I find 9 times out of 10 that a blend of all three is actually quite nice. And it's just another option. But that centering of the mono overhead, especially when you're in spaced pair, it's really great for snare tone. It adds some dimension to your snare drum tone, besides a close mic. And I find it super useful. So yeah, almost all the time I have this setup going. All right, Connor. Yes, I think keeping timing solid while you're super pumped playing a gig or even in a studio is just a matter of experience. I spent a lot of time playing live with a click and just starting to recognize when I rush and when I drag. And I used to really like to do it. This was my method a lot for being in rehearsals for tours, was try to do everything in rehearsal with a click, and learn, and also try to help to teach the band that, like, okay, when we hit the chorus, we're pulling, right? And I'd be on the click and I'd bring it back. And then after you play that song a few times, you start to recognize your internal thing, your internal pulse, like, oh, here comes the chorus. I'm going to want to rush. So I need to be super aware that when I hit that chorus, I don't take off, right? So it's learning those places where internally you want to move ahead. So obviously, practicing on your own, just having a good time. And then 2, practicing in the situation. Obviously rehearsals are better, because when I'd get into shows, I'd want to turn the click off and have some excitement, but not have the band, take off and or drag when it comes back to, a verse or a bridge or whatever. All right. So hopefully that's a helpful answer to you, Connor. Chris, does the center just give you more snare in the overhead? Well, it gives a bit of everything, toms, cymbals, and snare. But yes, I feel like the mono overhead is just, like I said, adding dimension to the whole thing. The best thing I could say is try it. And you'll notice, again, especially with space pair, where this is supposed to be a wide stereo spread, and they're more or less over the cymbals. As you can see, this is one's over the hi-hat, or actually over the crash cymbal right here. And then this is more or less over the ride, and when there's a crash over there, right? Those overheads really are creating the stereo spread. And then the mono, it helps tonally, and it also helps literally like center the sound. Okay, so the snare, the toms, and where I do it is I don't put this is not, you can kind of see it from here. This is not directly over the snare, right? So if I hold this stick here, right, you can see it's not directly over the snare. What I try to do is get it almost here. Actually, it's a little, I just put this up so I'm not exactly in configuration, but I'll move it over here so it's between the snare and the floor tom, and so it's not acting like a traditional mono overhead. It's kind of gathering a picture of that sound, and it's in cardioid. Okay. Yes, thank you very much, Marco. I did record drums separately too, but I'm searching for some other solutions, maybe like tuning drums a different way. I think Connor, right on. Marco, if you really want no rattling, I think the only way to do it is to record a snare separately, or everything else individually. Because when there's vibration, especially coming off a bass drum head that's so close, the head's going to rattle, and if the snares are on, they're going to rattle on that, So. All right. Anyone else? Declan, is your approach to studio playing different than live? Not much. I think my one, right on, Chris. I think my one main thing would be, man, I gotta say, it used to be different, but now it's not. I mean, obviously, I think sometimes there could be some more visual energy when playing live. Um, because you want to entertain people, and that's part of it. Um, if any of you guys want to leave a little tip at the end, uh, before this, a little coffee tip or something, that would be rad. Um, uh, but as far as like how I approach hitting the drums and things like that, obviously the space would change my attitude toward what I'm going to play. So if I'm in a very large space, I know I have more room for louder volumes than, let's say, a small room like mine for recording. That would change. The setting, I think a lot of it's volume. The setting, like I actually played a gig last week at like an outdoor mall, which was nice to play with people. But in that setting, there was one speaker and a vocalist and a keyboard player, playing organ and playing key bass and a guitar player. And I knew that situation I was going to play pretty quiet. And that's it. Like I wasn't going to get loud. So like the space that I'm in is definitely a dynamic consideration as far as live and studio. And, if I'm playing with people, I would say, my time may get a little more free, hopefully not too much, but a little more free, just going with the situation, as opposed to in a studio where I'm just going to really hone in on a click and obviously interact with people musically, but my focus is going to be on the click more. So I guess those would be two differences of maybe how I would think about playing in live and or a studio. Hey, Android 5000. How you doing? How I get an authentic Funk 45 drum break sound? Ooh, kind of difficult. You give a shorter answer on that one. Man, I'd have to go listen to it. I love that tune, but like I don't know the song well enough, like offhand, to like spit that out at you. My guess is it's a bit overdriven. Probably minimal mics. Funk 45. That was like, what year was that? Was that 69? Yeah. Hi, John. How you doing? Yeah. Sorry, Dandroid. I don't know the tune well enough just offhand, or I don't have that sound in my head to really give you a thing. But let me check it out, and maybe next time I do one of these, I can do that, or maybe I can actually create a video on it and put that out somewhere. Chris, how do you like using the Istanbul Exist line? I love them. I noticed some of in your videos you were using them. Yeah, so I have some Exist. They're like super bright, like rock, like really bright. Not really my bag, but I think they sound awesome for really bright cymbals, which is normally not my thing. And then they have these new ones that are dry Exist. Some have holes in them, and man, they're super creative sound. They're all pretty unique. They're not the most versatile cymbals, but they sound awesome. And I love that Istanbul has so many like beautiful sounding old school jazz cymbals, but then they're getting this kind of new modern stuff that's pretty unique and especially like if you need like really dry hip hop stuff and or bright rock stuff, the Exist stuff is doing that. So, and I think they're a much cheaper price point, which is great for any kind of people that want to get Istanbul or GOP stuff, because I know most of it's pretty expensive. John saw the latest video with Warren for the new Lewitt mic using the Beatles song demo. Was there just one mic on the kit? Yep. Sounded really nice. It was about up in that corner. It was a few feet above the drums, back in the corner, just kind of facing down toward the snare. Just one mic, John. Yeah, we just did like 2 passes on that, and yeah, sounded cool. And it sounds like they compressed it in the final mix. But yeah, that was it. And I got to say, those drums weren't even tuned that well. I just literally, Warren called me at like 2 o'clock. I went there at like 3:30. We played the song and I headed home. Chris, the Exist is such a cheaper than the traditional ones. Yeah, and they do different things. Obviously they don't have like a 30th anniversary type Exist. But so for specialty things, the Exist are really great. Yeah, right on, Chris. All right. Final questions. Hit me. If you guys want to leave me a little coffee tip, that would be rad. Otherwise, I'm going to answer one or two more questions and get out of here. I'm going to try to do this more. I keep saying that, but I'm actually going to try to do this more. Seems like I get the same amount of people with no fair warning anyway. We wasn't talking about the specific song, but the genre in general. A good example, the Vibrettes, Humpty Dumpty. Yeah, okay. So just a very general thing. All right, hang on, dude. I'm actually going to listen to this right here because now I'm curious. Where's iTunes? What's the one subject you spend a lot of time practicing that you never use? Ha! That's a great question. Okay, I have to go through my head and think of all this college stuff. Funk 45. Okay. There was this one book called the Prins, Prins, I think. Prins. It was Hi-Hat Independence. That was a whole semester of learning that stuff. Of course, any four-way coordination is helpful in a certain way, but do I use it? No. Something else. Okay, there was also a David Garibaldi book called Permutations, and they would take like a crazy David Garibaldi beat, which are great, but then you would permutate it 1/16th note. So if it was a 1-bar pattern, and every 16th note was filled, there were 16 permutations, and you would learn to put, whatever, could be a double left ghost note starting on 1, and then everything would go backwards. And eventually that got really stupid, because yes, you can hear things backwards and all kinds of things when you do that, but the implications for actually coming up with beats and that is kind of nonsense. So yeah, nothing against David Garibaldi or Tara Power though. Hey, all the same peeps. How are we going? I got my hands on a 70s Roger Dynasonic. Nice. Any experience with that drum? If so, any advice for tuning or snare tightening? How deep is it? Does it look like this? This drum is awesome. I don't think I've demoed this one. Maybe I'll do that really soon. I have a Aquarian American vintage head on this. It sounds great. I used to keep it pretty low, and lately I just cranked it because it was fun, and it's super useful. My only drag about this snare is that this comes loose as I play it, so I gotta kind of tape it down. But really nice and woody, not the loudest drum, which is fine. I kind of do similar things with all my drums. I keep the bottom snare head tight, and I use the top head for the pitch that I want. But it's a really versatile drum. It sounds really tight. It's a really great dry drum. Sounds great wide open too, but all over the place. So that would be my advice. Just crank that bottom head and then, experiment with it. Try different tunings for it. Caleb, sounds you're thinking of Funk 49, James Gang. Right. I think he was wondering about the 60 style funk sound as sampled of 45 RPM record. Gotcha. Right. Okay. Reading down. Caleb, yeah, I was wondering about that era in general. Okay, right. I was thinking Funk 45, the James Gang tune. Okay, this is my thought. One mic, a la, some kind of mono overhead, mic pre-driven, like, for some breakup, maybe through a tube, mic pre. And then place the mic near the sound source that you need accentuated the most, whether it's hi-hat, snare, kick, whatever. Place the mic in that area. Don't hit too hard. Key, don't hit too hard. And that's it. A little bit of overdrive. Don't hit too hard. Think black and white in your head. Like you want it to sound like black and white. Like, right? Like, does that make sense? Is that helpful? Dandroid, is that helpful? Wait, okay, what did I miss here? Oh, Dynasonic. All right, Roger's Dynasonic. All right, do I seem scattered? Never. Okay, I have this, which is the DW, it's called TrueSonic, and it's their ripoff of the Dynasonic. It's, again, I don't know, it's a similar answer. Like, it's a great drum. This has some low end to it, but it's actually very bright. I don't know if Dynasonics are similar, but how do you, it just, I would say it's anything, man. Experiment with it. It's a great drum. So tune it up and down, tune it to either where you like it or whatever the pitch needs to be, yeah, same answer. Just experiment, like I put a lot of my demos and my snares up. I would say follow that. Try loose snares, try tight snares, try high tuning, low tuning, find where it really speaks, How do you leave a tip? There's this thing, there's this little $ down below the chat thing that you press on that. This super chat thing. And if you just click on that, it'll do that, Chris. I think you should see it. If you search Out of Anger on YouTube, you'll find my band's album. I feel like I'm too simple, but I honestly don't know what to practice to make it all better. Just want to be better. Okay, well, first of all, I don't think there's such thing as too simple. I think if it feels good and it's simple, that's your main job. That's your main job. Make the band feel good. Put the right energy into the band. And if you want some help with practicing, please hit me up privately through my website. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that, dude. If you want a lesson, I'd be happy to give you a lesson. Obviously, through this forum, it's hard to get specific with you. But there's nothing wrong with playing simple. If you need some things to work on to know what make you happier with what you're doing, I'd be happy to dive into that. Connie, am I pronouncing it right? Connie? But yeah, hit me up through my website. And there's a place where you can fill out a little lesson form. I'll even put the link right here. .com/lessons. Hey, thanks for the tip, Connor. Appreciate that. But yeah, please hit me up. Do you offer private lessons? Chris, I do. I'm all about private lessons. In fact, I'm trying to take on more. Oh, like Coney. Oh, interesting. Cool. Right, Coney. Right on. Well, thank you. Yeah, please hit me up. Yes, I'd actually like to take on a few semi-regular students between 5 and 10. Not too many. But if anybody out there wants to do that, please hit me up through my website. Yeah, we can work that out. Dandroid, thanks, man. I'm going to check out more minimal miking techniques for sure. Right on. All right, y'all. Well, this was productive. Takes a minute to get going. Right on, Chris. Good to see everybody. Talk to everybody. And that's it. All right. Take care.